Okay, so let's take a little look at Scratch. So this is the given interface. So this is where we're going to create our own little type of game or application using something called Visual Block Code. So the code that we have is actually going to be stored inside of these little blocks that we have here. Our code is already written for us. So there's some Java that's been written. That's a type of language that's been used. So the code's been written, and we're able to then use these blocks to control something like an element, but this is a sprite. So right here, the cat we have, this is our active window when we hit the green play button. Whatever code we've put inside of our given working platform for editing our code here, whatever code I've put in, we're actually going to see our sprite or our active element do actions that relate to the code. So we have different code for motion, sound, events, controls. Like an event we might have is say when clicked. So when clicked here says when this green flag is clicked, well, there's the green flag. Whatever's in my active code editing space right here where I use my code is going to be activated with the green button. So if I try and I go and say, let's see what we can do, let's have a motion. And I want to make something happen to my given sprite. And we can have different sprites, but right now I have my starter sprite here. It has a position on this X and Y value where I maybe want to place my sprite. I could place it up there in the corner. I could travel now 10 steps. When I hit the green arrow, my sprite's going to move 10 steps. So it's going to move 10 positive steps, and it's just going to move 10 positive steps on the X value. So if I hit this, it goes to 78, 178. If I hit it again, 168. So we can see we're adding 10 every time to the X value whenever we click on this green check mark, which is what I've written in my code. Now, the code blocks can be rearranged to do different things. Maybe I want to take something and add a sound. So maybe I want to play a sound. So I could say play a sound when clicked. So it's going to meow. So now I have the sound, and if I click, it makes a meowing noise. But it hasn't moved because I disconnected the block from this given linked code. So this is really creating what we'd call something of an actual function that's happening. And the function can be changed to include, say, moving steps and a sound. Now it moves 10. Or we can take those apart if we don't like them and we could throw them away so they're no longer in our working station. Or we could add other things like something like a control, which might then do something. Say, like this control block says it's going to repeat something 10 times. Okay, it's going to repeat that 10 times. Anything inside of this block is going to repeat 10 times. Well, I'm going to move 10 steps. So let's see what happens. I'm at negative 148. Click it once, and I've gone to negative 48. So I've moved 10 steps inside of my given active window where my sprite is. So sprites here can be moved around to any starting point. We have things also in the tabs called costumes where you can change the sprite. You can see here it looks like it's running. If I click them back and forth, it's going to make my sprite look like it's running in the window on the right hand side. So we can go back to our code and we can do things looks, and we can say switch costumes. So we can say switch costumes 10 times, but we'd have to say switch to costume 2. This isn't going to do anything yet. You'd want to figure out how to switch it back and forth from costume 1 to costume 2. You'd have to think about how you would organize this code here in these visual blocks so that it would transform back and forth to make it look like our sprite's walking. We can also add sounds. We can add sounds, and you can bring in your own new sounds by using the sprite sound add button, or costumes you can add here, other types of costumes to add to your actual working station. And then you would see your sprites show up here in the bottom panel for your active sprites that you can use. So this is something you can try on your own as you work on some beginner code.